Hello there, I'm Mike, and my best friend tends to publicly humiliate me for how poor I am. The funny thing is, his rich girlfriend is crushing hard on me. Carl and I have been friends since middle school. He's one of those friends you have that no matter how much you kinda don't like them, they're still there. I guess that's just how childhood friends work sometimes. Carl's family wasn't rich either. They were just average. But somehow, after he started dating the daughter of the richest man in town, he began to associate their family's fortune with his. Whenever and wherever he saw me, he'd always make small comments. Petty, harmless comments, but snide nonetheless. Once, when he passed by me at a flea market by the road, he rolled down the windows of his girlfriend's Rolls Royce and threw an empty soda can at me to get my attention. "Oi!" he yelled. "What are you doing in this dump? I knew you were poor, but now you're buying stuff from flea markets? I told you you should just come work for Janine's dad." And without even waiting for a response, he sped off. Carl was brash like that. But I never let it get to me. I told myself that that was just his unusual and abusive way of being a friend. I had a job I liked, and although it didn't pay quite as much as Janine's dad was paying Carl, I still enjoyed it. I just wasn't shameless enough to ask my friend's girlfriend's dad for a handout job. There was a point, though, when Carl's remarks about my being poor began to get to me. It started to feel like every time he saw me, he'd comment about how I always wore the same stuff, how my shirts were faded, how I only had one good pair of shoes, and it would have been fine if I liked him as a person. But nah, he's always been kind of a douche. So, when we bumped into each other at the gas station, and he made a passing remark at the state of my old car, I retorted, "At least it's mine. You're driving a car that Janine's dad bought for her. Don't you ever get embarrassed how you're bringing nothing to the table?" I swear, Carl looked like he was about to punch me. But just as his anger looked like it was about to boil over, Janine burst out of the passenger seat laughing. I began to turn red. Had I known she was there, I never would have said anything. I would have never commented on their relationship in front of her. I was prepared for the situation to get awkward, and I was about to apologize. But Janine put her arm around my shoulder and planted a long, violent kiss on my cheek. She threw her arms up in the air as if to thank the gods and exclaimed, "Finally, someone who gets it!" Janine laughed again. "He got you there, babe. I told you people don't like how you've hitched your wagon to mine. But no, you keep saying everyone loves it. This guy gets it. We should hang out with him more." That doesn't really need to happen though, does it? I stumbled awkwardly. I had no desire to spend any amount of time with Carl. And by the way, Janine was squeezing the small of my back. I decided I didn't want to be between her and Carl much longer. But what Janine wants, Janine gets. "Nonsense!" she exclaimed. "Give me your phone. Gimme. Give it!" I really didn't want to. But persistence was Janine's main stat in life. And when she didn't stop opening and closing her palm in front of me, I finally gave in. She began scratching my cheap, non-Gorilla Glass protected phone with her manicured, Swarovski crystal-encrusted talons as she put her numbers in. And then she dialed her own number to make sure she got mine. Tough luck for her, because I didn't have any minutes left. But, like I said, persistence was her thing. She walked into the gas station store, and when she returned, she handed me my phone back and said, "There, you got my number, and now you've got 1,000 minutes in. I also bought you some internet, so you've got no excuse not to hit me back. Call me back, okay? Hey, talk soon. We'll hang soon. Ciao, bye!" And then she disappeared, back into the confines of the passenger seat, checking her makeup on her phone's camera as if nothing happened. Janine was very intense, and neither Carl nor I had any proper response to the last few minutes. We simply awkwardly looked at each other and climbed back into our own vehicles and drove away. It didn't take long for Janine to call me. It took her about 5 seconds. I was so confused from our last interaction that I was still processing the whole thing as I drove. So when my phone began to vibrate, I almost jumped in my seat and crashed into an oncoming truck when I saw that she'd saved a selfie on my caller ID, so her heavily made-up face filled my screen when she called. "Hello, hon," she began. "Hi, Janine. Long time no see, I joked. I really shouldn't be taking calls while I'm driving. You mind calling me back in about 10 minutes when I get home? Oh, babes, just put it on Bluetooth. Hands-free, no problem. You get me? She replied. Janine, I drive a 1995 Toyota Corolla. I don't have Bluetooth. Ugh, the tragedy, exclaimed Janine. I could almost hear her facial expression through the phone. We must remedy this. And then she hung up. The next morning, a very loud, very annoying series of honks woke me up. And then, whoever it was began revving their engine. My neighborhood tended to have problems, but drag racing at 7 a.m. was never one of them. I put a robe on, slipped in my furry slippers, and opened the door, fully intent on giving whoever was responsible for the racket a piece of my mind. The culprit was a blue Dodge Challenger. It was sleek and strong, and I smelled the freshly burnt rubber from all the incessant revving the driver was doing. As I was about to knock on the driver's window, it rolled down, and Janine's nightmarish grin greeted me. You likey? She asked. It's a very nice car. I'm happy for you. But I have a question. Uh-huh. Why are you here, and why are you trying to wake up everyone on this fine Saturday morning? I said. Aren't we cranky today? Replied Janine. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. Just waking up and all, but seriously, what's up? I just wanted to deliver your gift, said Janine. Huh? I asked, even more confused than before. What gift? It's now my birthday. Is it Christmas? Did I miss Thanksgiving again? Janine laughed. No, silly. I just wanted to give you this card because you said yours didn't have Bluetooth and all. My jaw dropped. You're giving me a car because mine doesn't have Bluetooth? Yes, duh, said Janine. Now, are you going to take the keys or not? Because I have a pedicure appointment in like 5 minutes, so I'm already, late for it and all. You can't just give me a car, Janine, I said in disbelief. This is a prank, right? Janine got out of the Challenger and dangled the keys in front of my face. You want it or not? Seriously, I can't be late for my pedicure. Viet Hang is notoriously hard to book. She's got a 3-month waiting list, and I'd rather die than not get a pedicure for another 3 months. You have a boyfriend, you know. I know, she said. And you've never given him a car. I know. Okay, I simply said as she placed the car keys in my hand, and her Uber Black pulled up to the curb. I heard something vibrating in the Challenger's front seat, and when I checked for the source, I saw a phone, and Janine's face was once again on the caller ID. I thought she'd left her phone, but when I answered the call, she said, Hope you liked your gifts. Chat later. Late for pedicure. Bye! And then she hung up. The back of the phone was fully covered in a 24-karat gold case, and on it, my name was engraved. Mike's phone, it said. I really didn't want to enjoy it. I didn't, but Carl was such a jerk that having his girlfriend fully crushing on me and acting like a sugar mama was extremely satisfying. I drove that car wherever I went. I even drove it to the store down the street when I ran out of eggs. One time, I saw Janine's Rolls Royce come up next to me at a red light. I knew Carl was driving it, and I prepared myself for trouble. But it turned out, he didn't even know I was in the driver's seat. Being the jerk that he was, he got out of his car and came around to my window and tapped on it. When I rolled my tinted windows down, the shock on his face was indescribable. What? How? Is this thing yours, or are you just someone's Uber driver now? Carl asked. Oh, no, it's mine, I said, smiling. But, how? You're dirt poor. Did you win the lottery or something? Sort of. Your girlfriend gave her to me last week. I named her Janine, I said, with only the smallest amount of smugness. The red light turned green, and the cars behind us began to honk at the pair of jerks who were stalled in front of the lights. So I gave a quick mocking wink at Carl and sped off. When I checked in the mirror, he was still standing there, nonplussed. as if he'd just been told the sky was green. That weekend, Janine begged for me to meet her. I didn't want to. I knew she was doing it behind Carl's back. And even though I didn't like the guy so much anymore, I still wasn't down for that. But if you paid attention earlier, you'd know that Janine doesn't give up. I was at a music festival that Saturday evening, and Janine tracked me down. And at the worst possible moment, she struck. As I was getting into a porta potty, she shoved me in and got in there with me. She locked the door with so much force that the handle broke and trapped us in there. I was so in shock at what she'd done that I didn't know how to react. "Oh crap," she said. "Oh crap is right," I said back. "What are you even doing here?" "I knew you were gonna be here, so I came with Carl," she said. And then she began to lean in for a kiss. "Ew, no!" I exclaimed, pushing her away. That was when Carl pried the porta potty door open. Turned out he'd been listening the whole time. I thought having Janine's attention was gonna make me feel good. I thought it would be revenge against Carl's constant shaming of me. But when I saw my old friend's face, the victory felt hollow. I hurried away to leave the two to talk about things. And before I did, I left Janine the car keys and the phone. It felt good to get Carl back for a bit. But at that moment, it just felt wrong.